10 things every tenant needs to know. A tenancy can be oral or written. However, it is advisable for it to be in writing because the contents of a document are easier to prove than verbal communication. So second thing a tenant needs to know is the length of notice to quit is largely dependent on the mode of payment of rent. Weekly, monthly, or yearly, and so on and so forth. A landlord cannot throw you out, lock your apartment, or disconnect electricity for the purpose of eviction. These acts amount to help eviction and are illegal. So it's not legal for a landlord to just come one day, start throwing out your things, throwing away, locking up the door, disconnecting your light, your water supply, and all that for the sake of eviction. It is illegal on the part of the landlord, and you can seek redress for that. So number 4 is that a proper statutory notice. Number 4 thing you need to know is that a proper statutory notice or notices must be served before eviction. So whenever a landlord wants to evict you, it is mandatory, it is legally acceptable in law for him to advise or issue proper statutory notices, such as a notice to quit and a notice of owner's intention to recover possession, where applicable. So it's a further step to the last thing I mentioned in number 3 or number 2. A landlord cannot just wake up one day to pull your things out. There is a procedure, there is a process for that, and one of the processes is that he must serve you the proper statutory legal notice or legal notice for that. A tenant is entitled to, number 5 is that a tenant is entitled to peaceful enjoyment of the premises or the apartment or any space that he has rented for himself. So without landlord undue interference. So your landlord does not have the right to enter your apartment without your consent. First concept on the soil is assumed that he has sold part of his right to you. So you are the one who has that right. But the only thing is that right is momentary, or it is bound by space of time, in years and in months, as the case may be. So that's the thing. So any landlord that wants to re-enter his premises that he has rented needs to obtain a consent. And without that consent, he does not have right to enter into his apartment or his premises. So number 6 is rent cannot be increased arbitrarily. A proper notice of intention to increase rent must be given. Number 6 is landlord cannot just wake up one morning and increase rent. He must have to give you a notice to that effect to prepare you, to prep you concerning the new increment. That is how the law says it. So number 7 is a proof of rent payment is important. As a tenant, you need to document proof of payments, as the case may be, yearly, monthly, weekly payment that you make to your landlord or his authorized representative. So for your own documentation or for your own records, whether it is a receipt or any written acknowledgement, always keep evidence of payment. Evidence of payment could be bank receipt and all that. So make sure you give all landlords or his authorized representatives acknowledgement of the payment you've made. Okay, number 8, the property must be used for the agreed purpose. As a tenant, make sure that what you're using that property is what you agreed in the tenancy agreement. If you rented it for residential, make sure you are using it for residential. If you rented it for commercial, make sure that you're using it for commercial use. Don't go behind and start making use of that property as a commercial. But you rented an apartment as a place that you want to live, and thereafter you are displaying commercial items and food stock in front of the property. That is not ideal. It is not right. The landlord can sue you for that. So you should not convert the property or apartment you rented to another use, apart from what's different from what you actually rented for. So number 9, a landlord cannot force you to pay rent in advance beyond what the law allows. So in all this, the law of the land still supersedes whatever dealing you're having with your landlord. So it means that whatever is the law concerning tenancy or land use act or tenancy law is what is still binding you and your landlord. So in some states like Lagos, collecting more than 1 year's rent is in advance from the tenant is considered unlawful. It's considered illegal. So make sure that you're dealing with your landlords or you only want to rent an apartment, you don't pay or don't go what is against the statutory law in that state or in that neighborhood. So number 10, you have the right to seek redress in court. if you are aggrieved by the actions of your landlord, if you feel that the landlord is doing what is contrary to the lease or the tenancy agreement, you have the right to seek redress in court. So if there is something I'm missing, please feel free to add it in the comment section. So this is where I will stop for now until I see you in the next edition. Please feel free to like, share, comment, and follow us in all our social media handles on TikTok, The Lecture for Consulting, Instagram, The Lecture for Consulting, and Facebook, The Lecture for Consulting. Thank you, and see you on the next one. Bye.